Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode number 94 of Imprintcast, the podcast dedicated to the Australian boutique label Imprint Films. My name is Tony Michas, and joining me as always is my partner and colleague, Mr. John Mathews. John, how are you doing, good sir?
Thanks, Tony. Looking forward to today and very excited about today's episode. So doing good.
Yes, and also joining us is our Imprintcast family member, Mr. Ron Pettersson. Ron, how are you doing, good sir?
Good, thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. Well, I can honestly say right now, this is a first for us. This is a huge deal for us for this particular episode, because we usually do deep dives when imprint film titles are released already, but this is our first pre-release episode. But what makes it even more special is we have the actual writer-director joining us as a special guest. We are going to be talking about the movie Killer, A Journal of Murder, which is coming out from Imprint Films June 24th, 2026, which you can also purchase worldwide from the Imprint Films website. And it is our pleasure and honor to welcome the writer and director of the movie Killer, A Journal of Murder, Mr. Tim Metcalfe. Tim, you do not understand what a big honor and a big thrill this is for us. Thank you so much for joining in with discuss this film.
Just as exciting for me.
I'm glad.
I'm glad that my little baby is getting a new life.
Well deserved, I gotta say, because I actually, back in the day, I used to manage for a couple of video stores, and of course, when you worked in video stores, you always get preview coded tapes to decide how many copies to get per store. And one of the films that I have seen that was one of the preview coded tapes was Killer, A Journal of Murder. But when I saw the names James Woods and Oliver Stone together on the actual cover, I had to watch it, because I haven't seen it since 1996, because it was released in Australia here in 1996. And I remember being enthralled by it because, I love prison films. I love true stories. And of course, James Woods' performance was incredible. But it's been literally nearly 30 years since I've seen this film last. And watching it again recently, it still packs a punch. And
what are your favorite prison movies? I like
Oh boy, where do I begin? Definitely Papillon.
Oh, that is
Papillon. Papillon's one of my favorites.
Great score.
Oh, absolutely, great score.
Yeah.
What else is another great prison? There's just so many.
Cool
Hand Luke.
Oh yes, Cool
Luke. Yeah.
Riot in Cell Block 11.
Yep. Cell Block 11. Yes.
Brute Force.
There was also. Sorry.
Do you know Brute Force?
Yes, Brute Force. I do. I haven't seen it, but I do know of it.
It's made in the 40s, film noir. It's great. Yeah, prison movies can be really good.
Oh, they can be.
I'll mention one that really shocked me. It's an Australian prison film called Ghosts of the Civil Dead.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I'm looking for it.
Oh my God, it's shocking. It's
probably it. That's another title that's been long out of circulation in physical media. It only got one release on DVD.
It was 88. It was released, yeah.
Imprint. You got to get to work on that one then.
Oh, they do. They do, because it was also it was co-written by Australian music artist Nick Cave, and
I have heard of that because of him. Yeah.
Oh boy, that movie packs a punch.
I saw it in the theater when I was 18. Shocked me.
Yeah.
And the Alan Clark Borstal film Scum. That was another
Scum is a good one.
Was it the director, the Nick Cave thing? Was it the director who did that Western called
John Hillcott?
The Proposition, yes. Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, he's a good director. What happened to him?
Yeah.
He's still working.
Good.
He's still working?
I heard he's trying to do Witchfinder General.
Wow, that'll be something.
Remake of that one. And I think,
a remake of that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that would be quite something.
Yeah, he's good. He's very talented.
Yeah, very.
Melbourne-based director. Yeah, he did a lot of work.
You know which one I don't like? I probably shouldn't say this.
Go ahead.
Who cares? I did not like Shawshank Redemption. Shoot me.
I gotta say, I am a Stephen King fanatic. Everybody knows that. Who knows me, that is. But I find that film highly overrated myself.
Same.
I'm not
However, The Green Mile is good.
brilliant.
Yes.
That was brilliant.
And Shawshank is so overrated and so beloved. I never understood why.
No, I found it personally. I find it a little overrated myself.
We're getting astray. Let's talk about me.
Absolutely. Now for this episode, we are going to be discussing a film coming soon from Imprint Films. And I can't believe we're up to spine number 613. And we're going to be talking about Killer, A Journal of Murder.
Welcome to Leavenworth, gentlemen. You're here because you've proven you can't live amongst decent society.
James Woods.
They tell me you're the worst man in this penitentiary.
He's a man who claims to have killed 21 people.
Robert Sean Leonard.
You the new man, Lesser?
Yes, sir.
Are you one of these reformers?
God keeps evil men in his care, that he may use them as instruments of his vengeance.
God didn't make these men. Our system did.
In a true story.
If anybody writes my story, it's going to be me.
Of two men.
He's so intelligent.
I'll make you a deal. You give me a paper and pencil, and I'll give you the story.
Torn between an act of compassion.
I trust you.
And a life of crime.
My name is Carl Panzram, number 31614. In my lifetime, I've killed 21 human beings, some of them no more than boys.
Is it all true? Children. How could you? You have a mind. You have an intellect.
Why don't you just give it back? Forget you ever saw it.
Forget? How can I possibly forget?
What I demand is justice. You created me. Now you kill me.
He's pulling a con on us.
His face was beaten to a pulp by guards.
Are you defending this animal?
What in the hell is going on here? What are you this man's friend?
The only way to keep you alive. I don't want to be alive. I want out of these clothes. I want out of this body. I want out of this world.
Tim, I believe the first question I'm going to have to ask you is, how did you come upon this incredible story of Carl Panzram?
Okay, so I am a habitué, is that the word, of used bookstores. I cannot pass any used bookstore by, no matter where it is. So I was in a used bookstore in West Los Angeles, probably about 1989, 1988, somewhere in there, and saw this book on the shelf. I was already interested in true crime and prison stories, and so I saw it on their shelf, saw this picture of Carl Panzram glaring at me on the back, bought the book, and didn't read it for a couple of years. There was something scary about it, something I just said, I'm not ready to read this. There was something odd about it. And I finally read it and said, this is a movie. And I called up the publisher, found out the agent for the writers, contacted the writers, one who was still living. The other was deceased, but I got in touch with his daughters, who drove a hard bargain. But I optioned the book from them. The author who is still alive, the co-author, is named James Long, and the other author who is deceased was Tom Gaddis, who is famous for writing The Birdman of Alcatraz, another great prison movie.
Yes, certainly.
So that was another reason I bought the book. It said by the writer of Birdman of Alcatraz. I said, what could go wrong here? But I read the book and I just became, I hate to use the word obsessed because people use that so loosely now. Oh, I'm obsessed with chewing gum or whatever. But I became pretty obsessed with it. And but I thought probably no one's ever going to make this movie. But I bought the rights to it anyway, wrote the script, finally got the script to a producer named Melinda Jason, who is still active in producing. And she was actually bugging me to do something with her. And I thought, aha, I'll get her to go away by giving her this script. She read it and called me immediately and said, we have to do this. So I said, okay, now we're in it. Now we're going. But then it took a few years after that, or a year or two, I don't know how long, of pitching it to just about everybody who was making independent movies back then, until we finally got it to Janet Yang, who was running Oliver Stone's company. Janet Yang had already, and Janet and Oliver had already hired me to adapt another script and to do an original script for them too. So they knew me already. And they read it, Janet read it and said, let's do this. And so then they went out knocking on doors for money. Oliver at that time was championing, so not an easy word, championing writers into becoming directors. He had put forward, I think Michael Tolkien, he gave a job to, and Bruce Wagner was another one. And there was a couple others, young writers who he, that was his mission with his company, was to get writers to become directors, because that's how he started. So they believed in me as a director without having any reels or anything to show. I had not directed anything. They finally found the money from, of all places, Aaron Spelling. Does that name ring any bells? Aaron Spelling?
Yes, it does.
Oh, yes.
He's the king of schlock TV in the 80s, and Dynasty and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure to this day that he ever saw the movie, if he ever knew that they were putting his money into the movie. He had two people who were running his movie division, and he was busy with TV, and I think they just snuck it past him, because if he knew, I don't think he would have okayed it. It's not his cup of tea. But bless him, if he knew about it, he okayed it. They gave us $2 million or something like that, and off we went.
That is a good introduction. Like with it is incredible. Back in 1990s, like well-known directors / producers giving writers opportunities to direct a film for the first time. It was amazing.
It was amazing then. It was a wonderful time to get things done like that. I guess Quentin Tarantino had a lot to do with it in the early 90s. People said, aha, he was a writer and look what he did. So
yeah,
there were other examples that, and if you made the movie for a cheap price, it had stood a chance of making its money back and winning awards and whatever. Yeah. So Killer got, I would say it got half good reviews to very good reviews, and to others very dismissive, sort of sarcastic, snide reviews. And I think those were due to things that, frankly, I had done wrong. I did not get right. And they were sort of deserved in some ways not. Some of them were they just didn't understand that kind of movie. But some just could sort of feel something was off about it. And what was off about it was we didn't have a lot of money. So the camera never moves. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can look at this movie and you'll never see the camera moving, really. Maybe once or twice. We couldn't afford to set up dollies and all that stuff. So it was just set it up, shoot it, and move on. And we couldn't afford to get outdoors much. Everything was kind of done interiors on a soundstage and in people's homes. So it has a cramped sort of look that I think turned some people off. I think other people were turned off by, what's the word? I don't know if it's sentimentality. It was a little bit sentimental at the end. And it has taken a lot of heat over the years by people who have read the book.
Right.
The book's very rare to find now. A book costs $300 or $400 in bookstores now. The used ones. I think somebody reprinted it with a different title as paperback, without Jim Long's permission. And he's such a gentleman, he wouldn't sue them. But they just made their own version in paperback and didn't give him a penny. People who read the book, they knew that I had sugarcoated it. I had softened it. I mean, he's awful in the movie.
Yeah.
But I made him less awful than he was in real life. And that was asked to do that by the producers. I won't say which ones, but some asked me to do that. Kind of insisted on it, and so I softened it. For instance, he murdered children. He murdered a lot of young people and children, and so we shot one scene, a very long shot, and it was you could see a boy. I don't know if we showed him killing him, strangling him, but we had a shot of the boy then with a belt around his neck, and his mother was there watching it. I just remember saying to his mother, "Do you mind? Do you mind me doing this to your son?" She said, "No, do it." She wanted him to be a star or something. I don't know, but I was just sickened by it, and I thought this will never stay in the movie. It's just too gross. But that's what he did. Not only that, he raped them, and in prison he was a serial rapist, whatever, of his fellow convicts. He bragged about it in the book over and over again, how much he enjoyed raping people. But it was men. And in the movie, he only raped Ellen Green, wonderful actor Ellen Green. So I've been taken to task for that and for not. But I sometimes I talk to these people online when I read it. If I can get their email address, I talk to them and tell them why it happened, and we have a nice conversation. But they're not wrong. It was sugarcoated. I don't think to the detriment of the movie as a good movie, but it could have been darker, and maybe it would have been dark was okay in the 90s. I don't know what dark's maybe okay now. It was okay, but the people I was working with did not really want that dark. So I felt sort of bad about it, but I think I still got the essence of the book. I got the essence of the relationship between the idealistic socialist Jewish prison guard and this horrible killer. I think I got that correct, if a little bit sentimentalized.
I still think it comes across like, when I saw it, Panzram, what I saw, he's a horrible individual, but
he's horrible.
The system's kind of made him the monster. That's kind of how I saw the film. But I obviously just where, and obviously there's that nice sort of warden that tries to, I guess, might try and change him through a bit of an experiment.
That was true. That was in the book, and that was a true part of his story. That warden seeing something in him and trying to redeem him, and having it smacked right back in his face. I mean, that all happened. Although I don't know, and now I don't remember what he did when he let him out on his own and trusting him to come back. I don't remember what he did in the book to be thrown back in the dungeon. I can't remember. And in the film, he attacks Ellen Green, but I think that was different in the book. I don't know what he did. Maybe he just robbed somebody, broke in a house. I don't know if he killed anybody. I'll have to look that up in the book. But that guy you're talking about who plays the warden was a wonderful actor named Steve Forrest, who was the brother of Dana Andrews, who was in a lot of great film noir.
Yeah.
Steve had more of a television career in his career, but he made some movies, and he was, I thought, terrific in the film. And he was a terrific human being. He was just so supportive and kind and helpful. So shout out to Steve Forrest, who's no longer with us, but he was great to work with. Most of the actors were great to work with. A couple were sort of grumpy, I don't know, because they weren't making much money, but most of them felt like they were doing something good and they were on an interesting adventure. But Jimmy, by the way, I often said he was a co-director of the movie because there were things I didn't know. And he had already made like 100 movies at that point or something. So if I got stuck with like, what do I do here? He would pull me out of the fire. And he did it many times and suggested shots many times that I hadn't thought of. But when he wasn't in any scenes, though, I got to do it my way, which is good. When I did scenes that he wasn't in, then I felt like, okay, it's my movie now. But when we were doing scenes with him, it's like, okay, we're co-directing this. I can fight him. I can say, this is my movie, and we can sit around and argue and lose valuable time, or I can just go with it. And I did, and I think that was the best. That was the only really thing to do.
Yeah.
He was basically a co-director in many ways. And I thank him for it.
Speaking of James Woods, how did he react when he first read your script?
he had already read and wanted to be in another script that I co-wrote with a writer and a director that I'm still partnered with many years later, named Adam Simon. And he read a script that we wrote for Oliver Stone. It was a true story about a Vietnam veteran who wrote to Oliver Stone saying, I want you to hear my story and see if you think it's a movie. And he wrote this like 10-page letter. And it was basically about how he said he was falsely accused by a bitter, estranged ex-wife of molesting his daughter. And he felt like he'd been horribly misused by the system in every step of the way. And for years, even at that point, for years, he hadn't been allowed to see his daughters. And I think that went on for years. I don't know if he ever saw them, maybe when they grew up finally. But Oliver read it. First of all, that he actually read the 10-page letter was amazing, but he did. And he bought the rights to this guy's story and assigned me and Adam to write the script about this case. And it actually came out really well. And it got a lot of interesting directors who wanted to do it. Oliver was never going to direct it. He was just producing it. The crowning achievement of that was Adam and I got to meet with John Borman. John Borman had us in. We already knew this ahead of time, but he had us into his office and said, you know, I'm busy. I can't direct this movie, but I wanted to meet you guys because this is a wonderful screenplay and you are wonderful writers. Whew, that was great. I'm still riding on that 30 years later on that praise. So he didn't want to do it, but he praised it. Other directors, who was another director who we had attached for a long time, Keith Gordon. You know Keith Gordon? I think
yes.
he did a Stephen King movie, didn't he?
He starred in Christine.
Yeah, that's right.
He did Christine as a director.
Christine,
He was a good director. He was a very good director. I think he went into television mostly. I don't know. Anyway, he wanted to do it. We met other directors whose names escape me now. But anyway, so Jimmy Woods already knew of my writing. He read that script and then he read Killer, and he took me out to lunch after reading the other script and said, I never forget this phrase. I'm sure he used it on other people. He said, I want to be in the Tim Metcalfe business. I thought, wow, that's impressive. It's a good line. I'm a business. I love it. So yeah, and then when Killer came along, I actually tried to get Ed Harris first because Ed Harris physically resembled Carl Panzram more. He really looked like him, and Ed was a fantastic actor, just as good as Jimmy. So we tried him, and as I recall, he said it was too violent. He didn't want to do violent movies. He was very polite about it, very sweet. And then it got to, I met a lot of actors, by the way, before we got to Jimmy, and I'm not sure why. We didn't just go right to him, but I remember meeting with Ben Kingsley, who was so wildly inappropriate for either part, but that was great. He was wonderful. Liam Neeson would have been a good Panzram, maybe. Many other actors I met with to play the prison guard, most of them inappropriate, but there were talent agencies the talent agencies want their clients to feel like they're doing something. So they set up all these meetings that they are never going to go anywhere, just so they feel like they're doing something. So I met all kinds of actors who, the actor Richard Lewis, who he was in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Richard Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's the neurotic comedian. I met with him to play the prison guard. He was so inappropriate, but he was so funny. I was like spitting out my soup at lunch, and other people. Oh, another wonderful actor, Kevin Pollak, who was a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
I think he might have been in True Romance or something. I don't know what he was in. He does a wonderful impression of Christopher Walken. So anyway, many actors, and also wanted a different actor at first than Robert Sean Leonard to play the guard. And there was an actor named Jonathan Silverman. He was a television actor, and he had no real film credits, so they wouldn't even barely let me talk to him. So, but it was worked out nicely with Robert Sean Leonard. So, but anyway, I just met a lot of people. It was great. It was a great time to meet all these actors. And
That's fascinating. Well, I was saying, obviously, based on the performance, I would say it's one of James Wood's best performances. Like, I mean, I've seen all.
I would say it's in the top 3 to 5. I would say.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I'd hate to say it, but I think this film's criminally underseen. And I know there's a lot of things like James Wood's works, but this is, I was just blown away by his performance. Yeah, on set. So I would say it's definitely one of his top performances.
I gave him almost no direction other than at the very beginning. I said to him, you know, you're kind of known for being this very talkative, improvising, obscene, comic sort of villainous character. I said, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I want somebody who doesn't like to talk, who barely talks, who is like a coiled snake ready to strike, who talks quietly, who walks softly, you know. He took that to heart, and he did that for the most part. He had I let him improvise in one scene, which still cracks me up, where he's in jail. He's on death row, and a preacher comes to talk to him, a minister, and he just we didn't tell this actor playing the preacher that he was just going to go nuts, improvising, saying the most disgusting, dirty things he could think of, and to get a reaction from this preacher. And the actor, he went with it, and he reacted to all this horrible stuff that wasn't in the script. He wasn't ready for it, but he went with the flow, and it was great. It's one of the only funny scenes of the movie. I would pat myself on the back for getting him to change his usual way of acting, because I think sometimes in some of his movies he fell into that, in movies where either the director wanted that, or the director didn't know how to talk to him, or I don't know. I mean, I think he relied on his persona too often, and I'm glad that I got him out of it for at least one film.
Yeah.
We tried to do many things together after that I wrote, and or we found properties together to produce and write. And he wanted to be a director. He was a director, as I said. He could have directed. I think he might have directed a couple TV commercials, but he really wanted to be a director. And we had one script that I co-wrote. It's an original script about a female in the Marine Corps who gets both of her legs blown off in the war in Iraq. And it's about her coming home and adjusting to having lost her legs. It was a good script. And we had Kristen Stewart attached to it for many years before she became even as big as she became. Mm-hmm. She was a delight to meet. We still couldn't get the money. We could not get the money to make that movie. And couple other things that Jimmy was going to direct that I wrote or was going to write, but he finally gave up. I feel bad. He gave up, but he's almost 80 years old now. So I think he saw the writing on the wall that he was not going to get to direct a film, which is makes me sad.
Yeah. I get it.
You kind of touched on it in the interview about working with James Woods. Oliver Stone's interviews were working with James Woods on Salvador were quite hectic, quite turbulent at times. Did it ever reach that level? Like there was a lot of clashes, or
with me?
Yeah.
Never. He never. Listen, on that set, if you weren't doing your job up to his standards, he would yell, and he would yell some nasty things at people. His mother was in the movie. I put his mother in the movie playing a bartender. I put his mother playing a bartender. And I had his brother playing a millionaire who was in jail. This was a true story. A real prisoner who was involved in an American scandal called the Teapot Dome scandal. And I can't remember his name. Harry Sinclair. He was an oil man. He was put in jail for corruption. So his brother played that part. His mother played a bartender, which really also made it a good set to be on because he was happy to have his family members around. And we shot it near where they lived in New England, Rhode Island. He never yelled at me once. Never once. He yelled at a lot of people, and it was scary. Sometimes it was abusive. And I would say that in this day and age, he would not get away with it. There's too many safeguards and too many. It's just not allowed anymore to yell at people like that. You just can't get away with it. It will be found out. So, but this was 30 years ago, and he was a yeller, but he only did it if he thought you weren't doing your job. But never once argued with me, yelled at me. Yeah, never once.
Wow,
that's great.
And he got into I was going to ask, obviously, he got into the character. I guess researched the role. I presume he read the book.
I don't think he did any real research. I don't think he's not a kind of guy who researches stuff. He goes by the script and kind of doesn't like to rehearse. He just likes to jump right in. And I don't know his process. He might have done some research, but I don't even think he read the book, to tell you the truth. Yeah. But I would like to ask him that, but I don't think he read the book. He didn't need to. It was all the good stuff in the book was in the script, and it was there. He came up with one interesting thing that really helped, talking about him being a director. There's a scene where he commits the murder that gets him sentenced to death. Yeah. He kills a prison guard played by Robert John Burke.
Yeah,
I think Robert John Burke, was that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Robert Burke in other movies. Yeah.
Was Robert John Burke? Was he in? Do you guys know the films of Richard Stanley?
Yes.
Yeah,
he was in a Richard Stanley movie. Richard Stanley was a good friend of Adam Simon's, who I keep telling you about. So I met Richard a few times. There is a character. There's someone you should have on your podcast. Richard is out there. But I think Robert John Burke was in one of his movies. Anyway, he's the one who's tormenting and beating up James Woods throughout the movie. The truth of the story was that Panzram did find an iron bar somewhere, I think in the laundry room. Why anybody would leave an iron bar laying around a prison around murderers, I don't know.
True.
It was true. It was a true. That's how he did it. He got an iron bar and he killed the prison guard. He warned him he would kill him too. He told him over and over again, "I'm going to kill you." So he did. But we did not have time or the money to fashion a prosthetic head that he could hit with the iron bar. Obviously, we couldn't hit Robert John with the iron bar. So we're in the set that's the laundry room. There's a pile of sheets. Somehow he got the character, the prison guard's head down like this, and he just very flamboyantly picked up a sheet and threw it over his head. So then we could go stick, a cheaply done fake head with blood squibs in it, and he beats on that and the blood flows, but we didn't have to spend any money really on it. And that was, we were stuck there for a while wondering how we're going to show this. And that's how we did it. It makes no sense if you look at it. It's like, why is he throwing a sheet over his head? He just wants to kill him. What does he care if he has a sheet over his head? But for some reason it works in the movie.
It does. Yeah. It would that little touch does work because.
Yeah. But why did he do it?
It could also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, from what I was going to say was from my perspective, he didn't want to. He was starting to show a little touch of humanity along with it because he was becoming more and more friendly with Robert Sean Leonard's character, and he just threw the sheet onto on Robert John Burke's head, and then instead of seeing the full effect on Robert John Burke's face, he just hits the sheet.
I think I would have preferred to having a prosthetic head that we could bash in. I wanted to see it.
Yeah, look, I have to say when I saw the film again recently to prepare for this episode, I was so enthralled in the story. Robert John Burke's character, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, he had it coming. He had it coming.
He warned him to stop messing with him, and he wouldn't pay attention. He was throwing him downstairs and kicking him and stomping him. He just
beat the living hell out of him.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting. That was where we did have some prosthetic makeup done. Was what Jimmy looked like after he took that beating, where he was thrown down the stairs and hit with billy clubs, and you next see him with his eyes swollen shut and all that. And that's what really sort of got Henry Lesser, the character played by Robert Sean Leonard, Henry Lesser. That's what kind of got him onto Panzram's side, wanting to side with him, wanting to help him, wanting to break the rules and be fired potentially for giving him paper and pencil. It was because of what he saw they did to him. He was already sort of sympathetic to him because he thought he was a burglar. Which I thought was the great, nice piece of irony in the story, that he thought he was befriending a burglar or a housebreaker, as they called him. And then he gives him the paper and pencil, and then he gets back a 20-page or whatever it was, a confession to 22 murders. Now, in 1929, I'm sure that true crime experts can point to someone, but there weren't many serial killer mass murderers who had killed 22 people in 1929. That was a big number. He was the champ. There might have been one in the 1800s in America. But you can imagine how this gentle socialist Jewish prison guard, who his family just did not understand. I met several of his family members who were still living, just never understood why he took this job as a prison guard. It wasn't the thing the family did, but it must have been so appalling and shocking and terrifying. Like, I've got this document in my hand now that admits to 22 heinous rape, strangulation, murders, many of them children. And I befriended this guy. What's wrong with me? How could I befriend this guy? How could I not know? And all those questions that were going through his mind. A lot of that wasn't expressed on screen. I would have liked to gotten more into his dilemma, but we just didn't have time to develop that much more. But I think it was in Robert's mind that he's thinking those things. How could I do this? And what do I do with this now? What do I do with this? Do I give it to the police? Then what? They'll kill him. They'll try him and they'll put him to death. And he didn't believe in the death penalty. So that was the reason. Well, many reasons, but that was kind of the dramatic reason I wanted to do the script. That this really quintessentially good man ran into a quintessentially evil man.
Right.
Yeah.
And how often does that happen in our life? We might hear about an evil man down the street, or we might think our neighbor's evil, but how many of us actually run into and befriend someone that evil? But he still, when he found out why he became evil, he couldn't just turn his back on him. Now I can give you a footnote, by the way. I read a memoir, as told to book by Charles Manson in his own words. His upbringing, his youth was identical to Carl Panzram's.
Right.
Almost pitch perfect identical. Being raised in reform schools, they call them here for boys. I mean, starting out when he was a young boy, he was being raped, being beaten, being abused, and that was his entire childhood. And by the time he was out, he's 18 years old and out of these brutal boys' schools, as they call them. They weren't really schools; they were prisons. He was made. He was done. He was who he was going to be. Same thing with Manson. He was raised the same way, and by the time he got out, and he was ready to go. I'm locked and loaded.
Yeah,
it's
the
identical.
System
so
created the monster, basically.
But then that was the question that you have to ask, though. Okay, so thousands of other young men went through the same childhood and they didn't become brutal murderers. Why? Why him? You can't answer that question. You can't. I can give you a little anecdote. When we had the premiere of the film, it was sponsored by the American Civil Liberties Union. Do you know what that is? The ACLU.
Mm-hmm.
It's anti-death penalty,
okay.
civil rights First Amendment, free speech organization. It's lawyers who take on cases for free to defend people who can't afford a lawyer. Anyway, they sponsored the screen, the premiere. Oliver was there, lots of Jimmy, lots of other big shots were there. And after the movie, we were all up on the podium, dais, whatever. And somebody asked the question of me, well, are you anti-death penalty? Somehow it got to me. And I said, essentially, yes. But in this case, no. I think he got what he deserved. There were gasps in the crowd. And the head of the Civil Liberties Union wrote me a stern letter the next day, castigating me for questioning the dogma of, anti-death penalty. I just thought, well, look, did you see the same movie? He wanted to die. He asked for it. He begged for it. Hang me, kill me, get rid of me. Take me out. The trash. I'm trash. Take me out. I want to go. Didn't matter. I'd crossed some line. And he also accused me. This one we straightened out. He said I was a red baiter.
Oh my!
Can you guess why he said I was a red baiter? If you know what that means, right? Somebody who is throwing up communism as a boogeyman.
Oh right, yes,
all right.
Like a red baiter. That's what they used to call it in the 20s, even in America. You're a red baiter. That means you were a politician who made socialist, liberal communists into boogeymen. So he said I was a red baiter. And I said, why? Because there was a scene in the prison yard when they were becoming friends, where they were walking in the prison yard, and Robert Sean Leonard's character quotes a famous American socialist named Eugene Debs. Eugene Debs famously said he was put in prison for his beliefs during World War I because he was anti-war, anti-First World War. And he famously said, as long as there is a soul in prison, I am not free. It's a famous thing he said. Mm-hmm. So Robert's character quoted that because he was a devotee of this guy. If you were a socialist in 1929, you were a devotee of Eugene Debs. Right. He got over 1 million votes, I think, in one like the 1920 presidential election. He was very popular. Anyway, he said that quote, and then Jimmy Panzer smirks and snickers at him, saying, "Oh, you're a red, aren't you?" That was my red baiting.
Got ya.
I think I talked the guy out of that. He misunderstood it, but he never got over me saying that he should have been hanged.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, if he didn't want to hang, if he wanted to fight his conviction, I would have been on his side saying, don't hang him. I don't believe in the death penalty. It's barbaric. It's utterly barbaric. But in his case, it was what he wanted. Give the man what he wants. Now, on the other hand, if you had kept him alive and studied him and had criminologists and penologists and people come in and talk to him and get his understanding of why he became what he became, and he might have been a valuable asset. I don't know. He was a valuable asset as it is, because his confession told the story of why he was what he was. He wasn't born that way. Nobody's born that way.
No.
So
it's true.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask on, with Robert Sean Leonard, he plays it. There's a certain level of naive to his character and a bit of innocence. Did you give him that direction, or he just kind of get it and just kind of go with the flow with it? I'm just curious, because he plays it perfectly as that role. I just thought he just kind of, there's that level of trust with him too.
We had so little time to prepare this movie. We had no rehearsals.
Wow.
Basically, I talked to Robert probably, I don't know, for an hour or two in New York City where he lived. I probably talked something about that, but I don't even remember what we talked about. But there was no rehearsal.
Wow.
I think it was in the script and it was in the book. He was sort of a naive guy, and he was well-meaning. He was an idealist. He thought he could do good in the world as a prison guard. I wish he had been alive when we made this movie, because I would have asked him, well, there were many other ways you could have done good. Why be a prison guard?
Yeah.
I guess he was just fascinated by prisons and penology. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's in the movie, but I think it took him 40 years.
Yeah.
To get a writer to incorporate that into the book, which Jim Long and Tom Gaddis, the Birdman guy, took him 40 years. He never stopped trying to get it published. That to me makes him a hero. He was a hero.
Yeah.
That he did not give up. He knew this story was worth telling. It's still worth telling. If I had a way of doing it, if I had some clout, I would do it as a mini series now, because it's such a long story.
Yeah.
And flashbacks. It could be a wonderful 6-part series. There's so much we left out.
No,
yeah,
I
it
get
makes
that.
sense now with episodic television. It could definitely work in this era.
I don't know. I'm just I don't know how to pitch it. I don't live in Hollywood anymore. I live in Vermont, way on the East Coast. I'm not retired. I'm still writing, but I just don't really. I don't know anybody in the TV world really. So
yeah.
One thing I liked about the beginning of the movie was the film bookends with the elderly Henry Lesser, who's played by Harold Gould.
Harold Gould
was how he explained how he came to meet and somehow befriend Carl Panzram, and then at the end how he explained that 40 years later,
right,
it was all revealed. And
I'm trying to be totally candid with you. I don't like that beginning and that end.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of forced on me, again, by producers who thought that I hadn't explained enough with the cut done without that stuff.
Right.
So this was after we had a rough cut without it.
Oh.
They said, you have to write an opening and get a narration going to set the story. So I wrote it. I wrote it in like an hour. It was terrific to meet a lot of great old actors too, besides Harold Gould. They all wanted to do this little nothing part. It's just amazing what actors go through and how they want parts, no matter how small they are.
Yeah.
A lot of very prominent actors who were older and just weren't getting work anymore.
See what you mean.
I thought Harold Gould looked like the real Henry Lesser, so I think that's why I cast him. I felt like his performance was not great.
Okay.
I felt like he was corny. There was something corny about him. The way his preachy and corny.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was only reading the words I gave him. So, but still, I should have come down on him to change his delivery, but I didn't. I think by that time I was in shock of making this movie in 20 days or whatever, and doing the rough cut under pressure. And I think I kind of almost just said, okay, let's get it over with.
That's interesting.
It could have been better, I think, that beginning and the ending, but I wanted it to end where, and it did end where Steve Forrest, the warden, Robert calls him on the phone to tell him that Panzram was hanged. He said, "You remember him?" And he just said, "Carl carried the flag in my band." And it was a freeze frame on him carrying the flag in the band. That was troublesome to me too, that ending. I liked it. I thought it was good, but it was troublesome because that was sentimental. Yeah. That was sentimentalizing this mass murderer, showing him marching in a marching band as though he were somehow not heroic, but not as bad as he was. But I liked it. I stuck with it. I would have preferred that to the Harold Gould stuff. But the beginning Harold Gould stuff was not bad because we got to use a lot of old footage from the 20s, which was fun to cut together. But yeah, I didn't want that.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's a bit of almost a spoiler.
I think a lot of the critics who didn't like the movie, I think, were reacting to that beginning and that end. I think they were reacting to that.
Because I was going to say it almost, not really, but not really a spoiler, but it kind of spoils, obviously, because it's a bit of a mystery unfolding. He's getting this manuscript and it's becoming, but obviously at the front's like, boom, this is based on a book, and just kind of, it takes away some of the mystery. And I've noticed now that
you're absolutely right. I think it took away something from the film. I wish they hadn't asked me to do it. I didn't know back then. I didn't know, and I found that out this later from other friends who are directors, and that you could say no. That you could just put your foot down and say, fuck that, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And they would generally go along with it because the director is respected, not as much as in other countries, but they're respected, and they really, people like who are running things just didn't have a lot of time to sit around and argue with me about adding a voiceover or something. It was just something they wanted, and I did it. I could have just said no. I didn't know I could do that. I really didn't.
First time director.
I thought you had to do what they told you to do, or they would fire you.
Yeah.
The two producers from Aaron Spelling, they came to the set. It was in a University of Connecticut. It was where we did the hanging in the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a courtyard of at the garage at a college. So we built the gallows and everything there. They came to me when we were shooting that, and I saw them walking in, and I said, "Oh shit, I'm fired. I'm done." I don't think there was much time left. But I thought they've come to fire me, but they didn't. They just came to watch. So that was good.
Yeah.
But I was, I think when you're a first-time director, I read a lot of books about directors and their first films.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a universal thing that you expect to be fired. Unless you're supremely confident and a natural-born director, and you're, Quentin Tarantino, or I don't know, maybe even Quentin Tarantino thought he was going to be fired off of Reservoir Dogs. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
He might have. I mean, Monty Hellman was one of the producers. I bet they had Monty in mind to take over if necessary. That's probably why he was there. Monty was a friend of mine, by the way. Let's talk about him. No, we don't have to.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I showed him the movie too, and Monty had very rigorous standards about art in movies, and it was a private screening for him and a couple other people at the William Morris Agency, and I didn't sit in on it because I didn't want to see his face. But I ran into him in the hallway. He was trying to sneak out. He was trying to sneak out. He didn't like it. I know why he didn't like it. It wasn't the kind of movie that was up to his standards of subtlety and craft, I guess. I don't know. I don't.
Right.
I could be making this whole thing up, and maybe
that's
but
that's
when
fine.
he saw me, he didn't say anything like, I loved it. He's not the kind of person who could lie.
Right, I get you.
He wouldn't have lied to me. He just kept going.
But speaking of past directors, you have dedicated this film to probably one of our favorite directors of all time, Mr. Sam Peckinpah.
I've had critics. I'll let you finish in a second. But I've had people reviewing the movie who have said things like, and for some reason it's dedicated to Sam Peckinpah, like it was a ridiculous thing to do. You go ahead.
I didn't think it was ridiculous. I thought it was great because I know Sam Peckinpah, he has inspired a lot of directors, and
I think I'm the only one who's ever dedicated a movie to him, though, unless I didn't see somebody else has done it.
Kudos to you. I don't think I have either. Have either of you seen?
I know a lot of directors. No. I knew Ron Shelton for a while, and Ron Shelton was just as blown away as a young man when he was playing minor league baseball, just as blown away by the Wild Bunch as I was when I saw it when I was 15 years old. I went to New York City with my mother. I lived in Ohio, a small town. We went to New York City, put my sister on a bus to go to some faraway summer camp. She knew I really wanted to go to New York. I mean, I knew from a little young age I wanted to live in a big city somewhere. I didn't belong in Ohio. So I was there in this June of 1969, right about this time. My mother went shopping and just turned me loose. I was 15. And I don't know why I went to see the Wild Bunch at this big, wonderful New York movie palace called the Translux. I think it's torn down. I went to see the Wild Bunch. I don't know if I'd read anything about it, if I knew anything about it. I'd like to think that I had not read anything about it. I just went in sort of blind and came out completely changed. I was not the same person. Not in no way, shape, or form was I the same person. And I guess that was in the impressionable age of 15. That's when a work of art, a book, a play, a movie, a band, that's when they're going to get you. And I got by old Sam and became a huge fan. And we exchanged a few letters over the years. He'd always answer my stupid questions. I have the letters in the closet here, laminated, preserved for eternity.
Absolutely.
Even though my questions are stupid, and he sort of mocks my questions, but gently. He was very sweet. He was very, I've heard from other people, very sweet that way. If you wrote him a letter, he answered it. He didn't just throw it away, and he answered it seriously. Wow. So I never got to meet him. I saw him in the flesh a couple times at screenings, or the last time I saw him, I was working at HBO in the early 80s. They just started making movies, and I was their in-house script reader. And one day I came to work, and in the waiting room, or later at that day, I looked into the waiting room and I saw him sitting there. He's cooling his heels, waiting to have a meeting with these morons that were in those jobs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not the people I work for. He was going to the feature division. I worked for the television movie division, and they were morons. And they kept him waiting. I still hate them for that. They kept this man waiting. He was on his last legs. He died about a year later. He was there pitching a movie about, I found this out later. I got the script because he gave the script that he wanted to direct for them, and they gave it to me, about a gangster named Alvin Creepy Karpus. He was in the era of John Dillinger and Pretty Boy Floyd and all them. He was called Creepy Karpus. He was creepy. He wanted to make a gangster. I don't even think he wanted to make that movie. It's just he got attached to it to have a job. And he came with his hat in his hand and sat in their waiting room for these knuckleheads to talk to him. I just makes my blood boil to this day.
Yeah.
So, but I'm mad at myself because I didn't go out into the lobby and talk to him. I was intimidated. I should have sat down with him and just talked to him. He wasn't doing anything but waiting there. Should have talked to him.
Yeah, I get that.
But I did make a promise way back, at the beginning of writing, if I ever directed a movie, I would dedicate it to him. And I kept that promise. And my editor on the film was also a big fan. And so we both made sure that credit got shot and stuck in the movie. Although some people thought it didn't belong, whatever. I didn't care.
Didn't make a difference. No, if someone has, if a major filmmaker like Sam Peckinpah has inspired you, you feel exactly.
Yeah.
I'll give you another little spin-off anecdote about that. I showed my friend, again, I'm going to throw his name out at you. Adam Simon directed a documentary about Sam Fuller. It's called The Typewriter, The Rifle, and the Camera. The three things he did in his life. He was a writer, and then he was a infantryman in World War II, and then he was a director. So that was the name he suggested that name for his own documentary. So that's what we called it. I sort of helped out a little with it. But I showed the film at the American Film Institute to some class there, and I invited Sam to come along, Sam Fuller. Wow. At that time, he had a stroke, and he was not as communicative as he could be, I think, or maybe this is just before the stroke. I don't know. Anyway, he was in the audience. I told the audience he was in the audience, and I was dismayed to see that half of them didn't know who he was. That annoyed me so much. But they're young students, I guess. They just hadn't heard of him yet. But at the end of the movie, I'm getting to the end of this, the point of this story is at the end of the movie when it says directed by for Sam Peckinpah, I heard him say, "He's dedicating it to me," and then, because he saw Sam. He saw the rest, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he was joking or not. I heard him say, "He's dedicating the movie to me." And then he also said, he said at the end, I asked him what he thought, and he said, "I loved it. You didn't know what to think about him. You loved him and you hated him." He's talking about Jimmy's character. You loved him and you hated him. That's the kind of character he likes. So I got that going for me, as Bill Murray would say. I got that going for me. That Sam Fuller saw it and liked it.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Two legends. Wow.
Yeah, I got to know him pretty well. I got to know his wife better because he did have the stroke and he couldn't really talk. He just he tried to talk and it was just kind of stuttering, repeating words. But we would still go visit him and hang out with him at his house, which he called the Shack, up in Hollywood Hills. His wife just passed away a couple months ago, Krista. She kept his flame and his legend alive for the last 30 years, with festivals and Facebook, whatever she could do to keep his name going, she did it.
Yeah.
She was a great lady.
Wow.
Well, any more questions? I got all night.
That's amazing. Oh, so many legends.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know we each have a favorite Peckinpah film because my personal favorite will always be Straw Dogs. I've always loved that.
I think
movie.
that's his second best movie.
Yeah,
that's second favorite of mine, and then maybe Ride the High Country would be third.
Yeah.
He's made some films that were not good, and I get in arguments sometimes with Peckinpah people that he was infallible and nothing he made was bad, but he made some bad movies like Killer Elite and what was that other one? Convoy. I mean,
Convoy. Yeah, no, I know that movie has its
more
fans.
Commercial efforts towards
Convoy,
the end. Yeah.
I think Convoy was his biggest hit.
Yeah,
it was a song.
Studio. It was a big studio.
It was a bad movie. Killer Elite was a bad movie. And this is where I get in the most fights. I think Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid was not a bad movie, but it was not a great movie. It was not, to me, it was barely even good. And the reason was, at that time, by the time he was making that movie, he began to read his critics and he began to believe that he was Sam Peckinpah,
right,
the legend. And he believed that he had to make movies that expressed his themes. He would have been a lot better off if he never knew what his themes were. Because he tried to do that in Pat Garrett. In Pat Garrett, the characters are spouting off, times change. I don't change. It was like, stop that. Stop it. And I love Chris Christopherson's music. I've seen him in concert. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever lived, but he was not good. He was not right for Billy the Kid.
Yeah, he is.
But it's a wonderful movie to watch because he had every single great Western character actor who ever lived, who was still alive in the movie. Slim Pickens and Jack Elam and everybody was in it. So it's fun to watch for that reason. But to me, it was stilted and preachy, or whatever the word is. He was trying to be significant. And I should also say there's no bigger Bob Dylan fan than me. I saw him when I was 11 years old in a concert. I didn't even know who he was. A friend's parent took us to see him, and we didn't even know who he was. But I became a fan. And when I read that, oh boy, Sam Peckinpah and Bob Dylan are making a movie, it's like two of my all-time greatest idols. In fact, my two idols are making a movie. This is going to be great. But he wasn't good in the movie either. I mean,
but the soundtrack was good.
However, I would argue that he should have let Jerry Fielding do the music. That was good. Those songs were good, but it needed a score, the kind that Jerry Fielding did so well for Sam Peckinpah and Clint Eastwood, Josie Wales, and all those great movies that Jerry Fielding scored, he should have had the chance, and he was going to do it. And then Christopherson brought Dylan into the movie, and Peckinpah did not even know who he was, which I found a little strange, but he didn't even know who he was. He was pretty famous at that time. Didn't know who he was, didn't really want him around. And then Dylan wrote a bunch of those songs and sang them down in Mexico. He sang them for Peckinpah, and he said, the story is he cried and loved the music and said, "Great kid, I'm going to use them." And he used it, but I still think that was a mistake. If he had had a Jerry Fielding score, it might have smoothed over some of the problems I have with the movie. But c'est la vie.
Yeah.
It's kind of been reevaluated, that film, because recently they've tried to reconstruct it. The cut, because there's many cuts of that film as well. Yeah. And recently there was this Criterion did this reconstruction cut. So I was never a big fan of it, but that recent cut kind of made me appreciate it a bit more. But I get what you're saying. It's
this is a brand new recent thing, not the one that came out like 20, 30 years ago.
No, this is a recent.
There was a so-called director's cut put out by somebody.
Yeah, no. What was there was a recent through Criterion they did this. It was sort of almost like a reconstruction. They took it was like a preview cut or something. It's very different. So if you're curious, check it out. Yeah,
always ready to give him another chance.
Yeah, I think
here it is.
Is that it? Oh, great! I'm going to look for that.
Yeah, this one. This has.
What was the cut, Tony? It was like a.
There are 3 cuts in this version. Oh. There's the 50th anniversary re-release, the original theatrical release, and the final preview cut. So there is 3 cuts in this release.
Yeah. Oh, I want to see. I'd like to see that. I have a book here written by Paul Sador, was one of his editors, and has written books about Peckinpah. He wrote a book about this. I think about the making of Pat Garrett and about the various cuts and everything. I I have it right here to my right, but I don't think I've ever read it.
I know Ron really. I think you are a huge fan of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, weren't you, Ron?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I rediscovered it recently with the Criterion, like John mentioned, as well. And I was going to ask you about any Peckinpah biographies. There was one with David Waddell, If They Move, Kill 'Em.
David Weddell.
Weddell. Sorry.
That is a good one. There was one before that by someone named Marshall Fine.
Okay.
I think Peckinpah's family or coterie or whatever didn't like because it had some unflattering stories in it. I don't remember. There was a good book, a really good book written by a Texan named Kip Stratton on the making of the Wild Bunch. I highly recommend
the 2019 book, sorry?
I might have come out. Let me see.
I've got a copy of it. I'll grab it. I got this one.
Oh.
I'm sorry to disappear from the screen. This book. Yeah, this.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's the one.
This is a good book.
Amazing book.
Yeah. There was another one written, and it looked to me, I ordered it on the internet, not knowing that it was some kind of self-published thing by a guy who wasn't really a writer. And I couldn't even get through it. It was so poorly written. And I wanted to get through it because he had anecdotes and things in it that I hadn't read anywhere before, but it was so badly written. I don't remember the name of it. It's still sitting by my bedside. I want to finish it someday, but I can't.
Fair enough.
What you said earlier about his last days when you saw him in the office at HBO, that was actually in the biography, If They Move, Kill 'Em. The writer says that it was the Don Simpson generation in the early 80s taking over Hollywood.
Right.
And they basically left him out in the cold.
To be fair, to be objective, he sabotaged himself.
Well,
he sabotaged his career with drinking and cocaine. I think it was cocaine was more detrimental to him than drinking. Really? I have a friend who was a writer who wrote Convoy. He directed a movie that I co-wrote with a friend. His name was B.W.L. Norton. He directed a really well-loved 70s movie called Cisco Pike with Chris Christopherson.
Yep. Yep.
Gene Hackman and others. It was a dope smuggling movie or whatever. Pretty good movie. But Bill wrote Convoy and was on the set, and he described just the horrible, how incoherent he was after he would do that and try to direct under that influence. And that's another movie, even worse than Pat Garrett, where he's trying to do his themes. And he even named a character in it, Deke Thornton, who was Robert Ryan's character. And it was all about his themes of whatever his themes were, according to critics. I don't know what they were, but he tried to put them in the Convoy and I think he tried to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear or whatever. I know a lot of people love the truck driving scenes, and it's got beautiful, beautiful cinematography of the desert and the trucks and everything, but the characters were ludicrous. I hate to say anything bad about them, but those two movies to me are actually the first half of Killer Elite is good up until the point where Robert Duvall shoots Khan in the leg to incapacitate him and end his career. And then when he's rehabilitating and his leg, once his leg is rehabilitated and he goes on the mission to go kill Robert Duvall, it goes haywire and there's ninjas all over the place. And
Ninja.
it was crazy. It was like, there's a famous story about it. You probably know. I think there were crawls on screen of dates and times, and he put September 31st, 19 whatever, and there is no September 31st. Okay, it ends in the 30th. So deliberately mocking and sabotaging his own movie, and he was doing a lot of cocaine on that one too. So he thought it was a satire, and he, again, my favorite director, but I don't want satire from Sam Peckinpah. No. I know he had a great sense of humor, and he was a funny man, but he was a very bitterly funny man. But I want bigger stuff from him. I want scarier Straw Dogs kind of stuff, Alfredo Garcia kind of stuff. Wild Bunch, Ride the High Country. I want that kind of thing. And Cable Hogan, Junior Bonner, those films he did to show that he could do movies without violence, and nobody cared. They wanted him to do violence, I guess. But I just saw a 16-minute interview on YouTube done for the BBC, and I think the interviewer was somebody famous on the BBC who was talking to him. It was done in the mid 70s. I don't know what he was promoting, because he didn't really say, but the interviewer was just grilling him over and over again about violence, and he just was so sick of talking about that. Didn't want to talk about it. He had a bottle of something. It was brandy, I think, that and you could just see it off screen, just a part of it. He would unscrew it, pour it in his coffee cup. He was really drunk, but in control of himself drunk, but you could see that he was drunk and disgusted, and I'm sick of answering questions about violence. It's on YouTube if you want to find it. I wish I knew that guy's name, but if you do BBC interview Sam Peckinpah, it'll probably pop up.
Yeah, and I was going to say, obviously dedicate the film to him, and it's not at the time, critics probably questioning that, but I was just going to say that still Peckinpah, it continues generations later, because I was just going to say, Tony, Ron, we all saw Wild Bunch on 35mm at the Ritz. When was that? Last year, or maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah, last year.
I think it was last year.
It was interesting because it was a younger crowd, and
and how did they react? How did they react?
They were in awe. Like, they were just, they were fascinated by it, and it was 18, 20-year-olds. And I just remember, there was a younger crowd seeing the Wild Bunch on film 35mm, and they were blown away by it. And I won't forget, especially that train scene where you hear a pin drop in the cinema. It was just the tension.
That's one of the great pieces of shot and cut suspense.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's no real violence in that either. He could do pretty much anything with shooting and cutting an action scene, he could do it. And that one was brilliant. I think the only thing that happened was some horses got knocked over in a boxcar or something.
They got thrown out, yeah.
But
Yeah, and
that gives me a lot of hope that this audience responded that way.
And afterwards, like Tony was saying, like everyone was gathering in the lobby. It was, like I say, younger crowd was just, it was fascinating to see. So his legacy lives on.
They've seen Quentin Tarantino. They've seen every kind of horrific, bloody violence ever in the last 20, 30 years, ever since the 90s. It's just violence is what most of the independent movies were made, because Tarantino started that trend to had to make a heist film with violence in it, whatever. And they've seen it all. And I would have assumed, they would just be jaded by that or just be bored, and because it's not quick enough cutting or something.
Oh, no. The movie got a round of applause after it ended.
Round of applause.
When the movie ended, the whole cinema erupted in applause. Yeah. I'll never forget it. God. It was incredible.
I'm gonna cry. I've got a tear in my eye.
No, and so your dedication was not not far fetched.
No.
Like it's still generations now discovering Peckinpah.
I've spoken at film schools and stuff like that before, but since I moved here to Vermont, I haven't really done it. If I lived in LA, I'd probably do that more often or teach. I've taught a little bit, and I just think once in a while, what if I tried to teach Peckinpah now? What would the reaction be? Well, one of the reactions would be that he's a sexist. I think he doesn't really understand or care about women. You have to grant him that. That's just not his strong suit. There's a couple of good women characters in his entire oeuvre, but he wasn't about that. So you have to let him have that. But to hear that they are standing up and applauding is great, because it's 50 years on, it's 55 years on. And when I started getting into films in the late 60s with the Wild Bunch in the early 70s, 50 years on then would have been silent movies, Charlie Chaplin. It's that kind of a gap, and I liked silent movies, but I didn't really watch a lot of them because they were kind of slow and hard to get anyway. You couldn't really see a lot of silent movies back then, not where I lived anyway. So to hear that is warms the cockles of me heart. That's great.
It's quite remarkable.
Was this a film class at a university or what?
No. Every so often, every year this cinema that specializes. It's a heritage cinema called the Ritz Cinema in Randwick in Sydney. Mm-hmm. They do yearly. Every year they do what they call This Is Celluloid. Like they every Friday night they screen a movie in 35mm or 70mm, and when we saw the Wild Bunch and that poster that was coming out, Ron and I and John, we said we are not missing out on this event.
No, see it on film.
Sounds kind of like what Tarantino does in LA. He owns a theater called the New Beverly Cinema.
New Beverly,
which used to be like a broken down repertory. It was falling apart. I went there a lot when I lived in LA, just whatever, because I just was in the neighborhood and I'd see whatever they had. But he restored it, restored it, shows only 35mm films there. And he bought another a theater called the Vista, which is not far away too. I heard he's restored that one. I haven't seen that yet, but it sounds kind of the same thing. And God bless him for doing that.
Yeah, preserving. Yeah. I was going to ask. Sorry, just getting back to Killer just quickly. Before I forget, I was going to ask the film looks like had a bit of a. I was just curious about the distribution because it seems like it didn't play many theaters. It seems like because even in Australia, I think it just went direct to video over here. I was just curious, what happened there with the because it didn't seem like it didn't get to many theaters.
They opened it in San Francisco, LA, one or two other cities. When there weren't lines around the block, they just dumped it. They just gave up on it. They just thought, this is not. They'd never even opened in New York, which is maybe the most heartbreaking thing about it for me, because I wanted those New York critics to see it. I wanted to see if any of them could see what I was trying to do see any merit in it. It never even opened in New York, so
Jeez,
it was just dumped.
It seemed to go straight to video. It went to video afterwards. Yeah, it didn't have. That's where it gained a bit of a following. I think more on home video. Fortunately, yeah.
That's good. I only have one DVD of it left. I've given them a lot of them away. I have one left, and I have a box full of VHS versions of it, which nobody wants. Nobody watches VHS. Do you guys watch VHS? I don't know.
Yep.
I'll send them to you. I'll put them in a box.
Yeah,
I don't want them. They're just sitting in the garage or in the attic. I like 25 of them, unopened.
And very soon, it's getting a worldwide premiere on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray,
thanks to Imprint Films. Finally, a nice new restoration with brand new extras, and because with Imprint Films, they do specialize in lost and hard films to find, to release them and preserve them and show them to a new audience. And now with this new Blu-ray release coming out, I think it's going to do well because I personally love the movie. I thought it was very enthralling, very engrossing. I adore it.
Oh,
thank you. I appreciate that. It has its fans, and it had some critics who. There was one critic in LA who compared it favorably to Dead Man Walking.
Nice.
Tim Robbins, that won a bunch of Oscars, and that was a good movie. But this critic, who was a really good critic and an acquaintance of mine, I didn't know him before then, so he wasn't doing me any favors, said that he liked it more or praised it more than Dead Man Walking, which I thought was amazing because that was a movie that had a good budget and it had an experienced director and it was smooth and well made, not kind of choppy the way mine was. So it had its fans among critics, but it never got to New York though.
That is a real shame, honestly. I wanted to discuss with you, Tim, about your career back before Killer. I know, John. One of John's favorite movies, I believe, was Bones. Is that one of your favorites?
I love it. I think it's.
There has been some talk of doing a reboot or a remake of it. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I don't know. I'm not really in touch with the producers, but I heard from someone else who worked on the movie that the subject has come up of remaking Bones. I don't know. So many horror movies are the only thing making money, so why not?
Yeah, yeah. I just thought it was a perfect modern blaxploitation take on. Elements in it. Obviously, the cast was phenomenal.
They're trying to go for a blaxploitation feel with it, and
you had Pam Grier as well, phenomenal cast.
Pam Grier, he was great.
Wow.
Ernest Dickerson was the director. Spike Lee's former man, and everything's going for it, but didn't quite do it. I hope they do make a remake of it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't remember at the premiere of it, Snoop showed up in a full-length white mink coat all the way to the floor, big pimp hat, felt hat, and he saw Adam Simon and I sitting there waiting for everything to start. He said, get up. These are my writers. I gotta write all my movies. Never saw me.
That's hilarious. That's true Snoop Dogg style, definitely.
We were tickled by that.
Yeah.
I never, and people always ask me, did you smoke dope with him? No, I never did. My career before that, what else you want to know about?
Ron, California. You go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to get to this eventually.
Okay.
Revenge of the Nerds.
How much time you got?
Take your time.
Plenty. Take your time.
We'll go take your time. We've done 3-hour podcasts.
That was an original pitch. We pitched that movie to an English guy. No, he wasn't English. His partner was English. There was a department store mogul named Ted Field, whose family owned department stores in Chicago. He didn't want to be in the department store business. And he came out to LA with his share of the family fortune and started a company called Interscope. They made records later too. Interscope Records, I think, made more money than Interscope Films. But anyway, he started Interscope Films. He'd never made any. He'd been in business for like 2 years and couldn't get anything done. He just didn't know the ropes, how to get a movie made, even though he had money. So my partner and I, as a different writing partner then, we knew a producer whose name you probably would know if you've read anything about the making of The Godfather, a producer named Peter Bart, because Peter Bart was Robert Evans' second in command at Paramount. And Peter, who's still alive in his 90s, is often credited with hiring Coppola, with buying the book, and really the force behind getting Godfather made was Peter. So we knew him. My partner had worked for him, and we went to his house and pitched the idea for Revenge of the Nerds. We weren't calling it that. Our story was based on, there's a college in Pasadena called Caltech. Caltech was a college for nerds. It was a college for brains. It was a college for scientists. And they were known for pulling elaborate pranks, like stealing the president of the college's car, taking it apart and rebuilding it in his office in the middle of the night and leaving it in the car in there. Really wild stuff like that they would do.
Crazy.
And so we read about that and said, that's a movie. Those guys are a movie. And we then read another story about USC, University of Southern California. The jocks there had burned down their fraternity house or something. And they managed to kick a bunch of mathematician students out of their building so they could have a place to live. They kicked the nerds out, and the nerds had to go to some crummy motel. And so that was our story, that it was about the jocks mistreating the nerds. We pitched that, and this guy, Ted Field, and his English partner, his name was Peter Samuelson. Peter Samuelson didn't even know what football was when we were pitching it to him. American football. He didn't even know what it was. I remember that now. We had to explain it to him. Peter Bart basically got Ted Field to buy our pitch. I don't think he was that much in love with it, but he was convinced that Peter could help him get a movie made, because Peter had made The Godfather and everything else. So he bought it for like peanuts. We were paid $20,000 to write it, which we had to split. Even then, that wasn't much money. So we wrote the script, turned it in. Somewhere along the way, Apple computers were born, somewhere in there. And there was a magazine cover in California that had a picture of the guy who actually was the inventor of Apple, not Steve Jobs, the businessman, but the brain. His name was
Wozniak?
Steve Wozniak. Steve Wozniak was on the cover of this magazine, and the title of the article was Revenge of the Nerd. And we said, that's our title. We stole it from the magazine, gleefully stole it, because we knew they couldn't sue us. So that's where it came from, because we were calling it, I think we were calling it something like High Tech or some boring, stupid title. So we did that, put that title on it, turned in the script, and didn't hear anything, nothing, got not a peep, until a year later, we heard that, actually my partner on that took it to an executive at Fox, said, read our script, see if you can do anything with it. He read it, liked it, and promptly hired new writers to rewrite it. This was a friend of ours too. Ruthless business. So they rewrote the script from like top to bottom. Nothing survived of our script except the title and the setup: jocks versus nerds. Jocks kicking nerds out of their house, and nerds getting back at them. There was nothing else left. Not a word of dialogue left from our script. So when we went to the screening, I didn't know this till we went to the screening, the premiere, and My partner, I'm not sure if he was like this, but I had my head down between my knees during the whole movie. I thought it was so awful, so wretched, and so not what we wrote, and so crude and so just awful. And when it was over, I couldn't walk out. I didn't want people to see me walk out, so I sat through it. And when it was over, I said to my partner, as we were getting up there, run out, I said, we're never working again. And I was serious. I said, we're never working again, for money anyway. And we left. And maybe a month later, it opened and made $40 million or something. So I was wrong about that. And 3 or 4 sequels. I lost count of how many sequels. There was television sequels. I never saw any of them. I don't know what they were about. People to this day, 3 generations, I think, have grown up on that movie. I have like elderly people telling me that their grandchildren have just watched it or whatever. And you know what? After a while, I mean, when it first came out, people would bring it up and say, God, I love that. And I would go into a whole story like I just told you about how much I hated it. And I finally realized you're really pissing on these people's parade. They come to you and tell you they liked your movie, even if it's not your movie. They liked your movie, and you immediately tell them essentially they're stupid for liking the movie because you just told them how bad it was. So I graciously learned to say thank you very much, thank you. And I don't say how much I disliked it anymore. I never saw it again after that screening. I don't know if it holds up. I don't know if it's funny. Maybe I should finally watch it 40 years later. I don't know. I've had movies like that where I saw them once and never saw them again, and I probably should give them a second chance. Is it a favorite of yours, Ron? I'm not saying you're an idiot if it is.
Oh no. Well, you just reminded me of, what was it? There's the writing team: Larry Scott, Larry Karasaki, Scott Alexander.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, I know those guys.
Those guys. I remember an interview. They did Problem Child, and it's just like you did. You wrote this they wrote this amazing script. Then they completely butchered it and turned it into a different thing. And they
had good luck further on in their careers, where they worked for people like Milos Forman and Oliver Stone, and doing their biopics that they wrote.
It's great.
They had good careers, and I think they're still working, as far as I know. They did well. I didn't really recover in my writing career. I never really recovered. It's not recovering. I never became like an A-list, highly paid, script doctoring kind of writer. And there's probably a lot of reasons for that. One was I never had really good agents. And you can leave that in. Don't cut that out. I never had good.
Yeah, no.
I have a good one now, but no, I didn't have good agents who, we had a hit movie. My partner and I, nerds, we had our name on a hit movie and never got any work out of it, ever. Nothing. Our agent never sent us on a meeting. He never capitalized on it in any way, which I'm still kind of bitter about. Where name is on a hit movie, and come on.
Huge.
So, yeah. You know what? I should watch it again. I have a copy of it here somewhere. I should watch it again, but I had some similar instances with the movie California. Have you guys seen that? The Brad Pitt movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to ask about California. Yeah.
I like
California. That was an original script by me, a friend of mine who I grew up with. We wrote the first draft together, and then I rewrote it. And he didn't want anything to do with it when he heard how it had been changed. Because I'd read it, and I told him, I said, no, you have to have your name on this. We're going to you'll get a story credit with me. Not a screenplay, you'll get a story credit, and you'll get checks in the mail for the rest of your life. And he's still getting checks in the mail the rest of his life for California. I still get them. They've dwindled down to, maybe $300 when they, were $3,000 and $30,000 when it first came out on DVD and VHS or whatever. So that was rewritten by the director, and this is an interesting story. I like this story. This story makes me look good. when California came out, the Los Angeles Times did a scathingly bad review. And in it, they blamed everything they said was wrong with it were changes that the director had made. So I was a hothead. I had no one to tell me not to do it. I wrote an editorial for the Los Angeles Times explaining exactly how movies get written and rewritten and exactly how everything their critic hated was done by the director. I just named names. I said the truth. And he was furious. Of course he was furious. And the movie didn't open that well. I don't know if it ever made a profit. I don't even know. But it was not a successful movie when it came out. It made a little bit of money. I don't know if it made its money back. The director, Dominic Sena, was not happy. And as the years went on, I realized that was a stupid thing to do. To write that editorial, to name names, to whine about something, getting a movie made, to whine about it in print in public was unbecoming and didn't help my career, because other producers would read it and say, why would we want to work with this guy? He shits all over you when you're done. So it didn't help my career. It really didn't help it at all. However, there is a happy ending to this story. Last year, was it this year? When were the LA fires? When were those devastating fires? Was that this January? Last January 2025. Dominic's house burned down in Palisades. His house burned down. He told one of the producers on the movie, who I stayed friends with, months later, they were talking, and he said he had no posters of California. He had nothing left. He had no posters. The producer, she told me this. I said, I have one in the closet. It's one of those giant ones. It's like not a 1 sheet. It's like a 6 sheet or something. It was huge. And it was in the closet, and the ends were frayed and crackling, and because I'd never put it up. First of all, it was too big to put on any wall in any house I had. Secondly, I didn't like the movie that much. I'm not going to put it on the wall. So that was an experience. But I kept that poster. I got in touch with Dominic through somebody, sent him an email. First of all, I apologized to him, saying what I did was wrong. It was not a good thing to do. It was a shitty thing I did to you, and I apologize. I still don't think what he did was right either, which is rewriting my script, and he wasn't a writer. He's not a writer. He never was a writer, and he did such obvious damage to the script. It was a really good script. Anyway, water under the bridge. I apologized, and it took me several weeks to find a mailing tube that was big enough to hold that poster. I went to every kind of store that sold tubes on the internet everywhere. Finally found one big enough, stuck the poster in there and mailed it to him, and he got it, and he had it fixed. He had it trimmed and fixed and repaired, and we made up. We're both old codgers, whatever we are, but we made up, and that was nice. That's a sweet story. I like that story.
Yeah.
It's great.
So anyway, that one, that was a good movie, though, and in the sense that we got to meet, my wife and I got to meet Brad Pitt. We went to the set once. In the desert. They were shooting some stuff out in a place called Lone Pine, where every great Western has been made in the last 100 years. Watch a Western, there's scenes made at Lone Pine because it had distinctive rocks and cactuses and stuff. It was either Lone Pine or Monument Valley, where John Ford went, where all the Westerns were made. So we went out there and met Brad Pitt, who was just a sweetheart, the sweetest guy, kept calling us ma'am and sir. We finally said, cut it out. Come on, cut the shit. We're only a few years older than you. You don't have to call us ma'am and sir. But that's just the way he was raised. He was raised to be polite to anybody in authority or older than him or whatever. He was really sweet. So that was good. And met the other guy too, Duchovny, and watched them shoot a little bit of it. But that's another one where I went to the screening, though, and I didn't think I'm never working again, but I was pretty dismayed about the changes he had made. What are you going to do? It's got some good stuff in it. It's Juliette Lewis was the only one who really nailed the script the way I had written it. Was Juliette Lewis. She nailed that character.
Yeah, she is.
And Brad Pitt's girlfriend. Brad Pitt was made to be too violent, wasn't in the script. He was under the influence. I used to get so mad about this. First-time directors back then in the 90s were all under the influence of Quentin Tarantino. And they all thought they had to do hyper stylized, brutal, mind-blowing violence. They had to do that to get attention. And they did it, and they didn't do it as well as he did, or they didn't do it as well as anybody did, really. They certainly didn't do it as well as Sam Peckinpah. No. And so he did that in California. I had a scene where Brad Pitt needed money. He followed a guy into the bathroom at a gas station, and he kills him, but we don't see it. You just see some blood running out under the door. And I thought that was kind of Hitchcockian of me. I like that. He goes in there, you don't see the killing, you see blood running out under the door. You know he killed that guy to rob him because he needed money. That's not the way the director saw it. He just went in there and just went to town with him, stabbing this guy. And then for reasons I will never understand, he showed, and I only saw it once, and I'm pretty sure I saw this. Maybe you guys can go look at it or vouch for it. But as he was stabbing this guy at the urinal, you saw that the victim had a catheter in his penis. I swear that's there. And I said, what? No, I didn't see that. I'm pretty sure it's there. I've never gone back to check, but I think he included that. He went and got a prop catheter and a prop penis or whatever and put that in the movie. But it was because the directors were under this pressure to do something so outre or bizarre that they would get attention. And if it doesn't fit the story, and if it doesn't feel organic, and if it's not done with some kind of humor or style or grace, it's sucky. It sucks. So
feels forced.
There's just there's some directors who Michael Mann, he knows how to do it quickly, get it over with. Other directors today in this day, well, Michael Mann, he's like, I don't know if he's working anymore either, but I can't think of any younger ones that are working now that really know how to do violence the right way. They always try to copy Peckinpah by just doing slow motion, but that's not what he did. No. He didn't do just slow motion. He mixed 3 or 4 different speeds of film together. So you got this eerie feeling of a horse falling through a window in regular speed, and then it slows down, and then you cut away to somebody else, and you come back, and the horse is still falling through the window in slow motion, but a different level of slow motion. That was his artistry. That's what he did, and nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever copied it, I don't think, or really tried to imitate it. I don't know. It seems to me, if you studied the Wild Bunch, you could imitate it, but nobody ever seems to get it.
No,
they don't.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do anything like slow motion or anything like that on Killer. I might have had one scene, and I don't even remember now. But no, slow motion takes extra time, and it takes more time in editing and everything. So I didn't have it. So anyway, what else in my wonderful career have you? What else am I known for? I can't even remember now.
The Haunting in Connecticut. That's one of my.
That was the most recent thing I did with Adam Simon. That was based on a true story. I think my other writing partner, who I wrote California with, he watches a lot of schlock TV, and he saw a schlocky ghost story documentary on one of the schlock channels about the true supposed story of the haunting in Connecticut, which was a pack of lies. There was a grain of truth in it, and it says based on a true story. When the movie screens, there was this much.
Yeah,
it was true that a mother had a son with cancer and moved to Connecticut so the son could get treated at a teaching hospital for free. And they moved into a home that used to be a funeral home. Everything else was made up. but a lot of it was made up by the mother because she had sold her story, and I believe she embellished it. I guess I don't know if she was a very sweet woman, a very religious woman. You've seen the movie. I mean, unless you believe in ghost stuff like that happening, it didn't happen. So, but it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I think
I enjoyed it.
I think it suffered from being a PG-13 and wasn't R-rated and didn't really go for the throat the way it should have. Unless it's, The Haunting of Hill House in the 60s or The Innocents or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't really want a G-rated horror movie. It's like that doesn't work unless you're really great director. I don't know. Can you think of any movies that were not great horror movies that weren't R-rated? I don't know what they call that in Australia. Do you have an R rating for adults only? Or
our equivalent to PG-13 is rated M, which is for mature audiences.
That's what it started out as in America. M. And
mature. Yeah,
PG-13.
Yeah, and then MA 15 plus. That's like an R-rated American, and we have an R 18 plus classification, which is equivalent to the NC 17.
Right. So they're not. I can't think of any really good horror movies that were PG-13. It's just like you have to pull your punches a little bit to get that rating.
You do.
I think the audience can feel it. The audience can feel that you're pulling the punches, and we pulled the punches because they wanted a PG-13, the producers, and they were right because it made a lot of money with a younger audience. They were right. Yeah. They wouldn't have gotten that younger audience if they had let it be R-rated. So I can't fault them, but it didn't have the power I thought it should have had or could have had.
No. Well, I remember that era of that sort of 2000s. It was all everything was PG-13, and unfortunately, because I was starting to fall out of horror back then because I was starting to just get over the PG-13 horrors. That's all that was being produced just because it was commercial. But now we're actually seeing a return to more art, like film like Obsession, which is #1 at the box office. We're returning the R-rated horror, which is great.
I haven't seen it yet, but that movie and the other one that's a big hit called Backrooms. Big hit. They're very inspiring to me. They made for like no money, and they were done with invention and a new way to tell the story. And I can't wait to see them both. I live in a small town in Vermont, and we don't get a lot of movies here right away or ever. So I have to wait for them to be on Netflix or whatever. So I hope we get Obsession and Backrooms somewhere near here because I want to see them. I want to make a movie for $100,000. I want to do that. I'd love to do that. So but the PG-13, and you know what? It reminds me of Pauline Kael, the critic, said she said about Killer Elite. I think in her review she said, "Who wants a PG-13 Sam Peckinpah movie?"
Yeah, it was PG.
Right, it was PG-13. It was cut. Yeah. It was cut to fit the audience, to get younger audience, and it lacked his kind of power.
Yeah,
because it wasn't an R rating.
Yeah, to hold back. Yeah. Just while we're on your other films, I just want to bring this up as well. Obviously, we're big horror fans here, and it's gained a huge cult following over the years. But Fright Night Part 2, how involved were you with?
I have heard so many people who love that movie.
It's beloved to this day. Yeah,
that's strange to me because again, I wasn't that taken with it. Didn't have a bad experience on it. The director was a nice man who co-wrote the script. In fact, it came at a strange point in my career. I was doing yet another rewrite for free for the director because my writing partner was also a producer and he worked for the company that was financing it called Vista Films. Mm-hmm. And so we were just chugging along doing all these quick free rewrites before it went into production. And one day I just said, in the middle of the director's house, I just got up and said, I can't do this anymore. And I walked out. They looked at me like I had lost my mind. And I think maybe I had a little bit. I can't do this anymore. What I meant by that is I can't write stuff that's not from my guts and from my heart. This was after we did Revenge of the Nerds, we got hired after a while. We got hired to do some sort of dopey romantic comedies and stuff. And my heart was in none of them. And the nadir of that is we got hired to do a thing called by Dino De Laurentiis, boy, how much time you got? Because he was funny. You
Yeah.
hired us to do a movie called $1 Million Mystery.
I was going to ask about that.
$1 Million Mystery. It was a ripoff, a blatant ripoff of Mad World. However, Dino was a clever guy, one of the cleverest. He made an Italian remake of the movie. He did an Italian ripoff of Mad World like 20 years before and got away with it. Nobody saw it or sued him. So he then said to any lawyer who came at him, I'm not remaking Mad World. I'm remaking my movie that I made in Italy. He got away with it. So we pretty much blatantly stole the premise anyway of Mad World, but changed it. It was not a big W. It was the bunny was hidden under a bridge, I think we said. And just working for him was so much fun and such a hoot. He was like 4'11" with a cigar like out to here all the time. He had a desk that was like 20 feet long in his office. You know, he lived like a little king. He had chefs bringing him food. He had a restaurant in his building that made his food for him. You know, because he had all this money at the time. Yeah. He was making Blue Velvet at the same time. He had just made Blue Velvet. And he showed it to us. Everybody who was working there, he showed it to us. Floored. I was absolutely floored, almost as much as I was floored by the Wild Bunch when we saw that. I think we were the first audience to see Blue Velvet. Wow. And I was just mesmerized. And then in the beginning thinking, this is terrible. He doesn't know what he's doing. That bird's fake. He's showing a little robin, you know, in the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Little robin is tweeting, that bird is fake. What is he doing?
The audience just laugh, yeah.
Yeah, they're laughing. Everybody thought he's nuts. David Lynch is nuts. He thinks we're not going to notice that's a fake bird. Well, we knew it. We figured out later what he was doing, but I was so blown away by the end of it. I wrote Dino a letter. I mean, I don't know if he ever got it. He never responded, just thanking him to the stars for financing this movie, which was a revolutionary, brilliant masterpiece, blah, blah, blah. And, but anyway, we had some funny script meetings with him when he was always asking us to put in the more tits, you know, put in I don't know how we were supposed to do that, but he was like, more bigger tits. And then he would never pay us on time. It was like lawyers had to get involved to make him pay us. But somehow you accepted it from him because he was so charming. He was a charming scoundrel. I think he owed a lot of people money in his life. Maybe by the end he paid everybody off. I don't know. But he had us to dinner at his mansion once with, you know, this 40-foot long table and butlers for everybody. It was just, he lived the big life. He lived the big style. Yeah. And he loved movies. He was a showman. He loved movies. He would make, you know, he made Fellini movies.
Yeah.
He made great movies, and he also made a bunch of schlock. But he made, in between, he would make, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and whatever. He just loved all kinds of movies. And I guess he did Blue Velvet, though, because it was a deal. It was a trade. David Lynch said, I'll make Dune for you if you let me make Blue Velvet. And he struck that deal with him and stuck to it. He didn't renege on that deal. He let him make Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
He was great. The movie was abysmal. It was just, and the thing about it was they had a product placement tie-in with a company called Glad that makes trash bags. So of course every critic said this movie belongs in a trash bag. Every one of them said that. They were right. They were right. It was pretty bad. He tried to copy the formula of having all comedians, like Stanley Kramer did in the other Mad World. All the roles were played by comedians, but they were all great comedians, and they were great actors, great comic actors, all of them. And then he had Spencer Tracy anchoring the whole thing, who was one of the greatest actors who ever lived. Yeah, so it worked. Although I've been in a lot of arguments over the years with people who think it's a stupid, idiotic film. I think it's a classic, and I think it's a comic American comic masterpiece that's never been properly acknowledged. It's a masterpiece. If you like that kind of movie. If you don't like slapstick, Three Stooges kind of movies, then don't go to it. But it's a masterpiece. Anyway, he cast a bunch of up-and-coming comedians because he's cheap. He was cheap. He was trying to make a movie on the cheap. And so he cast a bunch of comedians out of comedy clubs who nobody had heard of yet. I don't think any of them ever went on to be actors in other movies. Maybe they have stand-up careers still 30 years later. I doubt it, but they're all nice people. I met some of them, but what a misfire that was. I went back home to Ohio and took my aunt and uncle to see it, and just remember them struggling when we came out of the screening to say anything they could think of that was nice. They couldn't think of anything. They couldn't think of anything. Well, that was interesting, or whatever,
I was going to say, it wasn't infamous for like a cash prize, that movie.
Yeah, and he never gave it. He never gave it to anybody.
That's what I heard.
No. Who's going to sue him? I mean, did he make a legal contract with the world that if I make this movie, I'm legally bound to give somebody $1 million? No, it was just an advertising gimmick. So yeah, I heard years later, or not long later, he never gave the $1 million to anybody. Although somebody did guess where the prize was hidden or whatever. I don't know what it was, but whatever. He didn't give him the money. And everybody knew he wouldn't give him the money. He was probably giving somebody else to pay off for his debts, I loved him though. He was fantastic. I would have worked for him again, as crazy as he was. Everybody I talked to worked for him feels the same way too. Even if he ripped them off, everybody feels honored or amused to have been misused by Dino. He was a good guy.
Wow.
I don't know if he was a good guy, but he was a fun guy. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough.
That was a misfire. You say you've seen it? You can't have seen that.
I personally haven't. John, have you seen it?
I saw it.
I
saw it. Yeah. It's it's not.
Because I never, I never got any kind of checks, residual royalty. I never got any checks for it. I don't think.
Oh,
that would mean Dino would have had to pay into the system, and I'm sure he didn't. We never got nothing for it, so that was kind of a shock. Because the Writers Guild usually protects you on your residuals. They usually take care of you. Make sure you get what you got coming to you. We might have got 1 or 2 checks in the beginning, and then nothing. I still get checks for Revenge of the Nerds, and that's 40 years ago. Still, I got. Let me wait. Let me find this.
What?
I want to show you one of the residuals. I haven't cashed it. Hold on. Oh, did I hide it? Did I get rid of it?
I still send them. Wow.
Here it is. I don't know if this is going to be in focus, but where should I put it? Is this? Is this?
Here we go.
Can you read the amount?
5 cents?
1 cent.
1 cent.
1 cent.
Is it?
1 cent
for real.
That's for Revenge of the Nerds.
Is it even worth sending?
I'm not going to cash that. I'm going to frame that. That just came like 3 weeks ago. It's like they spent more money on the stamp than they did on the amount of money. It's like,
yeah, I was going to say it costs more to post it than the actual.
I think it's a legality. They have to send you your residual no matter what it is. Because I've gotten others over the years for like 50 cents or whatever. I mean, but that's the first time I got one for a penny.
Wow.
$1 million mystery. I suspect maybe they'll send one to me that say I owe them money.
Because it
you owe us money for this piece of shit.
Oh my Lord, that's crazy.
Yeah, I love that. 1 cent. When I opened it, I just burst into laughter. Couldn't wait to show it to my wife.
Right.
Did you ever see my movie 44 Minutes, The Shootout in North Hollywood?
No.
That was made for the FX channel. It was a TV movie. They probably never put it out on video or DVD because it was a TV movie. I don't think they
not here in Australia. No,
I don't think it was put out. I don't think it was ever issued anywhere. I think it was only on FX. There was a famous shootout here with 2 guys with machine guns who robbed a bank out in North Hollywood. And there was a firefight that went on for like 45 minutes between them and like 1,000 cops coming to killed them, and it was live on TV with helicopters shooting and getting the action, and that was interesting. I wrote a good script for that, and then of course they rewrote it, and it wasn't the same. But it was
Michael Madsen as well. Yeah, I'm looking.
Was he in it? Was he one of the bad guys?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, he was one of the shooters.
Yeah. So Michael, I'm having a look now.
I don't know who the other one was. So the biggest difference in my script and the one they shot was I never had them say anything because nobody ever heard them speak because they were shot and killed on site. So nobody knew what they said. Nobody knew what they sounded like. Nobody knew anything about them. So I never had them have any dialogue whatsoever. You just saw them like communicating to each other with, just looks or whatever in the car or like, let's go or whatever, but no dialogue. And I thought that made them really interesting and mysterious. They had so much bad dialogue when the movie got made. It was just spelling everything out and what they were going to do with the money and all this banal. I'm going to get a Mercedes, or I don't know. It was just stupid. You don't want to know that about them. They're just like sharks. They're sharks. You don't want to know what the shark has to say. Anyway, I got a lot of complaints, but I can leave you with this. I had a great career. I'm still working. I have no complaints. Whenever I meet young people, and they always want to know, did Hollywood rip you off? Did they steal your scripts? Are you bitter? No, I'm not. All the stories I've told you, I have no bitterness. I had a good time. I rode what talent I had to the limit. I had a great time. I made good money, and I get little residuals for a penny. And I had a great time in Hollywood. I met fascinating people. I started to count up recently, or I was going to write down every famous person I met, even if it was just to shake their hand, which was Clint Eastwood. I just shook his hand at a screening once. Wow. All the way to, hanging out with Oliver Stone and Jimmy Woods and other actors and other directors and meeting John Borman and whatever. I'm one of these days I'm going to make a list because people tell me I should write a book, but I don't have enough good stories to write a book. It's not a good story to say I shook Clint Eastwood's hand. You got to do better than that. If you're writing memoir, you can't just Al Pacino's hand, which I think I did too. No, you got to have good stories. But I would like to just make a list and say, these are the people I met or hung out with or saw sitting in a waiting room.
Sam Peckinpah,
yeah, whatever. But no, I never ever complain or slam Hollywood. I mean, they paid me well, and I had fun, and I never had a real job. I never had a real job in my life. That's at HBO, where I sat in an office and read scripts. But even that's not a job. That was fun. But I've never had, once I was past 21, I never really had to do any kind of job other than be a script reader or then a writer. So no complaints.
And even, like I said, the projects you're not happy with how they turned out, they're still beloved by many people. So even the films, that there's your list of works loved by audiences around the world. So
a lot of people loved California, and they would come up to me, and that was the one I was the most bitter about, I think. And I would, for the first year or two, they would say, I really loved it. And I would say, they did this, they did that. And I finally said, no, stop saying that stuff to people. Tell them thank you. Tell them great. Tell them you had a fun time writing it, whatever. Just don't make them feel stupid. Why would you want to make people feel stupid? I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. You have to get older to understand some things. But yeah, a lot of people like that. A lot of people like Fright Night too. And I thought it was okay, but it wasn't scary to me. I think it was PG-13 too, and it wasn't scary. Yeah. The first one was sort of scary. The second one, I think the first one was R-rated. And I think it was. And the second one was not. And again, they pulled the punches, pulled the punches to get the audience, which I'm not a producer. I'm not a studio, so I can't argue with them. That they know what they're doing, I guess. But
it's about to get a big physical media re-release. Fright Night 2 is a lot of excitement right now and buzz in the community. So
really?
Yeah, big deluxe box set for 4 covers they're making. So take a look. It's really beloved by the community. It's
if it sells pretty well, I'll get a nice residual somewhere down there.
You get a few.
Yeah, I don't know in America, but in Australia they had the coffin VHS, the coffin box.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
And that's a collector's item now.
That sounds like a collector's item, yeah.
It is, yeah. It's much sought after by collectors. They actually, when somebody gets in the mail, they go, "I've got the Fright Note 2 coffin VHS coffin box," yeah. Which they've done with the release, yeah. Physical.
The guy who wrote the first one and wrote a couple other horror classics was named Tom Holland.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he went into TV or I haven't seen his name on a movie.
I think he wrote novels. He wrote fantasy
novels. He was an interesting guy. He
great writer, really.
Didn't want to write the sequel to Fright Night and turned it over to us. I guess I'm not sure why. He read something of ours or something, but interesting experience. The screening, I remember the screening of that. I wasn't upset. I didn't have my head between my ankles. I thought this is okay. It's it's all right. Roddy McDowell, whatever. It's all right.
Yeah.
It was great.
I just, what? After you've worked on so many horror movies and you've written so many, you don't get scared anymore. Nothing really scares you because you know how they're doing things and you know what's coming, or you can sort of guess. And now all I expect from a horror movie is to get a feeling, that wonderful feeling of dread. Do you know that feeling you get when you're watching something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, or watching some really great horror movie where they're just building and building and building this horrible sense of dread that something awful is going to happen to these characters that you've come to like. That I can still get, but I can't get scared. I can get, the jump scare. I can go, but I can't really feel scared.
Yeah.
You said the same thing John Landis said when he described horror movies. He said the dread, like The Exorcist. And he said it was the dread. The lights went down, and the music came on.
Yeah.
The dread set in.
Yeah, that brilliant opening in Iraq, which I remember seeing when it came out and thinking, what is this? This is going on and on and on. What is this? Where's where's Reagan? Where's the vomiting and whatever? Where is all that stuff? Where's the devil? But that he was right. That was a brilliant opening of dread, and you didn't know why. You didn't know why, except at the very end there was a little piece of Pazuzu or whatever. But you didn't know. You just knew you were feeling something's going wrong.
Oh, they did, yeah.
that I can still feel. That I was watching a movie last night. I've seen half. Tell me if you guys have seen this movie, but don't tell me the ending. It's Spanish. It was produced by Almodovar. It's called Sirat.
Yes.
Sirat?
Yeah, sorry.
Have you seen it?
Yep, yeah.
Okay, so I stopped watching late last night. Do you remember it well?
Yeah.
There's one of the most heartrending, horrible scenes I've ever seen is when he tells his boy to get in the van.
Yeah.
The van goes backwards and goes over a cliff.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
That's right in the middle, I think. And I couldn't watch anymore. I was kind of tired anyway. I cannot watch anymore.
That's only the beginning.
And I've heard that the second half is really wild.
It is.
I should finish it, right?
Yeah, you got to finish it, yeah.
I'm going to finish it because that director is really good. I don't know who he is. He really built up a sense of dread, too. And it was, like, annoying to me, too, because I don't like the music. All that rave music is just kind of monotonous. But he kept doing it and seeing these kind of dirty people dancing and monotonous. And like, my nerves are jangled. Stop it. I'm yelling at the screen. Stop dancing. Stop it. And then it settled down when they took off into the desert and those people warned him, don't go with us. It's dangerous. And he went anyway. And then his son. Now you can tell me this. He's dead, right? They didn't find him alive at the bottom of that mountain, did they?
You're going to have to watch the second half. That's all I'm going to say.
Whoa! He comes back as a ghost or something, right? Don't tell me.
I'm not going to get your hopes up. It was unexpected. You're not going to guess what's going to happen.
Okay, good. Don't tell me anything more. I want to finish it because he deserves it. This guy, I don't know if he's made 20 movies or that's his first. I never read anything about him today. I don't know. I just know he's good. And
But the look of the film's fantastic. It's
fantastic.
Like they haven't made the desert look so good since Fury Road. Mad Max
And
Fury Road.
it looked like it was probably hell to make.
Oh.
Being out in a boiling hot desert and doing all those stunts and scenes in the desert, it probably was hellish. And I kept thinking, this guy, he was dedicated. He was dedicated to making this great movie. I mean, I said it once the boy went down the hill, I said, this is a great movie. I don't care what happens in the second half. To shoot that scene, to make an audience sit through that scene when there's a rule that we learned early on in Hollywood. You can't kill children. You just can't. You can't do it. And anytime I wrote a script or co-wrote a script and we were tempted to kill a child, they'd say, can't do it. Can't do it. They won't make it. You can't kill a child. People will walk out. People will hate the movie. Can't kill a dog either, basically. You can have a dog die.
Oh, no, don't kill a dog. Don't kill a
You
dog.
can have the dog die, like of old age, and you'll cry.
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
can't kill the dog.
No.
But you can't kill a child. So, but when he had the balls to that horrible scene where you think, because you've seen so many Hollywood movies, you think, okay, he's going to go over the edge, but it's just a little ledge and he's fine. Or he's going to hit a boulder and stop. But no, the van just kept going and going, and it went over, and you heard it clanking all the way down, and there's no way he's alive. There's just no way.
It was just a simple accident.
The father's grief was just, it's just awful. I had to go to bed. I could not watch it. That's a testimony to whoever this director is. That's dread, because I don't know what's coming now. He just killed the boy off. There's got to be something worse coming.
You wait and see.
Did it get great reviews? Was it a hit?
Yeah, it was a hit movie. It got great reviews. It went and played the film festivals, much acclaim. And,
so has Hollywood thrown a lot of money at him to do a Marvel movie or what? I hope not.
Give it a year. Yeah. You'll come back with another Spider-Man movie.
What's her name? Great director who did Hamnet and Nomadland.
Chloe Zhao.
She did a Marvel movie or two. I was shocked when I saw her do that, but I guess all directors want to see what it's like to have a big budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, her movie Eternals was a bomb.
Oof.
Was it because she tried to take it seriously, or it just bad script, or what?
I think a bit of both.
Yeah,
the script wasn't great either. No,
they never should have hired her for that. I mean, they just.
It didn't help that it was 160 minutes long, so it was just did not work for some reason.
No, I mean, her first movie she did about a rodeo rider. I don't know what it was called. It was about a guy in the rodeo. It was terrific.
Oh, yes, I know the film.
The Rider? Was it called The Rider?
The Rider, yeah.
It was terrific. And then the next one, all those little movies she's done are great. But
yeah.
I didn't even bother to see the Marvel movie because I don't go to Marvel.
It's not good.
No. Hamlet was great. Hamlet was really good. But Eternals, I need to watch it.
I stopped. The last comic book movie I saw was Black Panther. And it only went to that one because it got such hype and great reviews by really good critics. I thought I better see this. I thought it was just another comic book movie to me. It was the same old stuff to me. So, listen, I was raised on those Marvel comic books. I had them all when I was a boy. If I kept them, I would be living in Dino De Laurentiis's mansion. Seriously, if I kept all those original Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Superman, whatever, I had them all. But when we were kids back then, you just gave them away. You threw them out, or you traded them with a friend, or your mother threw them out, or whatever. Nobody thought they were worth anything. How stupid we were. No,
indeed. Well, this has been probably one of the most fascinating conversations, and honestly, Tim, it was a real pleasure to have you onto the show. We are all grateful. Thank you so much.
I had a great time. It was fun talking about all this stuff. A lot of stuff I haven't thought about or talked about in a long time, like $1 Million Mystery or and I got to tell somebody. I don't think I've ever told anybody that story about the director of California, how I sent him that poster. I just find that such a heartwarming story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a nice one. Once again, Tim, thank you so much. And also, we got to thank the team of Imprint Films and Via Vision Entertainment for letting us get in contact with you. And
I thank them for bringing the movie back out. It's a real thrill for me at this point.
Yes,
I really thought it was forgotten, and I think there isn't maybe a week or 3 days don't go by where I don't think about it. I think about making it. I think about mistakes. I think about things that were good. I think about things that were bad. I think about it all the time, and that's kind of funny. 30 years later, but I never thought it would come back out in any form.
Yeah, well, it's coming out on a worldwide debut on Blu-ray. Yep. It will be released on June 24th, 2026, and you can pre-order it from the Imprint Films website, and they ship worldwide. So for international listeners, you can pre-order, you can order it from the website, and they will ship it to you. So once again, Tim, thank you for joining in, and of course, my family, Ron and John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, Tony, and John. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and watching this latest episode of Imprint Cast. Imprint Cast is a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and hope you all have a great day.